The last part of our three-part series is about giving. Now, in Do, Be, Give, give is about information. At the heart of what you do in your leadership role, you have to understand sharing information is critical. You've got to give information up, pushing it up to your bosses so that they know what's going on, they know that you understand what's going on, and they don't have to come down and do your job for you. And you've got to give information down so that your subordinates are tied into the key mission of the company. They're working to achieve what is best for the organization, and they see how they fit into it. That giving of information, that sharing, that communication is so critical to your role as a leader as you transition into your new roles. We call it feed the bear. You feed the bear or it eats you. So one night we're driving north-south and we had a convoy of vehicles traveling. We're driving up along the road and we came to an east-west running road. Well, as we came to this road, we thought on the map that there would be another road here traveling further north because we were trying to get to an east-west running road further up on the map. So in our effort to figure it out, because it was nighttime and everyone was nervous and taking their own initiative, some units started driving and going and looking for the road. They were looking for the north-south. My unit was scouting out ahead and we were actually traveling across the open area looking to see if it was possible just to travel. But while everyone was waiting, they started taking their own initiative. As some of them went to the west, some of them went to the east, people started moving around all over the place. One of the commanders started moving up and one unit just parked over here and the guys got out and started sleeping. And as they all moved around, my truck's driving around and we're looking for, an opportunity to get up and join back up with this road. But on the radio, we suddenly realized everyone was spreading out. We were losing control of the entire convoy. In their anxiousness to get on the road and be where they thought they were supposed to be on the map, we had stopped giving information and people started looking for it on their own. The unit was coming apart. First thing we had to do was make sure I understood that we knew what was going on. I directly linked up with the executive officer for the unit, pulled up alongside him face to face and said, look, we've got it figured out. I have scouts on the east and west, they're following down these units. We know that we're in a gap in order to get to this road further north. But we need everyone to stop for a minute so that we can gather people back together and put them in the right direction. And he had to know, he had to understand that I knew and had a good concept of what was going on. And that's the first key in giving information. You've got to understand. Then you got to create a plan. Our plan was we'd launch a couple other trucks out to these people over here in the positions off to the east and west and bring them back together. We sent a truck back down and found the Marines out there sleeping by the side of the truck waiting for word. And we brought everybody back together as part of our plan. While that was going on, we launched our reconnaissance and we went forward and found the road that we were supposed to be on and marked the trail with chem lights. Well, now we had a way out of the situation. We had the people back together. So we had our plan going and we'd moved on to the third step. Third step is execute. As soon as we had all this marked and figured out, we came back, we got the convoy, and moved everybody back up into position. So when the sun came up in the morning, we were staged on the road we were supposed to be, heading in the right direction, and everyone was back together. But that only happens if you can feed the bear. Push the information up and down, and understand what's going on, plan for a solution, and then execute on it. That's what led us to success the next morning as we launched and carried on with the mission. The second half of Give is understanding situational awareness. As you think about sharing information, you also have to think about how you're gathering information and building your understanding of your area and the things that are going on around you. Situational awareness can be everything about what's going on at the job site, what's happening back at the office, how you're interacting with your other coworkers, how your clients are doing, how your boss is feeling. It's all the bits of information that you're gathering in so that you can give out good instructions and make sound and timely decisions. Now, things would happen to us outside of Baghdad that required good situational awareness. We had a headquarters element sitting out in a field, and occasionally someone would run out with a mortar, and these people would set up out of a tree line and drop one mortar. Now, a mortar is an explosive round with a little bit of explosive on the back, and you would drop it in a tube, and when the first explosion would go off, it would push the grenade out of the end of the tube, and it would land somewhere in our vicinity. But they were handheld, so they weren't really aiming them with any accuracy. So a round would explode over here somewhere, and then this guy would get up and run back into the tree line. Well, that's what happened to us one day. As that went on, he ran back into the tree line, disappearing from our view somewhere back here. We launched our quick reaction force. We had a vehicle that was staged and ready to go all the time. That guy took off to head back through the trees. His role was to see if he could catch sight of somebody running with a weapon or just running in general so we could chase him down. But we had very little situational awareness about anything else that was going on. As we came around the edge of the trees, this hedgerow, there was a berm. It was a big dirt berm that stood about 6-7 feet high. We didn't see anybody running and no people around there. So as we came to the edge of the berm, we made a decision. We were going to hop out of our vehicle, and two of us were going to run our way around the back side of the vehicle. And we were going to get ourselves positioned so we could see down the length of the berm. And the vehicle was going to travel along the other side. Now, as he traveled along the other side, we had to run to keep up because we were trying to get to the end in the hopes that we would flush somebody out and they would pop up over the side. Problem was, this was before we knew that the chemical weapons weren't as big a threat, and we were wearing what we called mop suits. Now, a mop suit is a thick, like over-protection layer that you wear made of charcoal. They're heavy. In addition to that, we were wearing our flak jackets. You know, things designed to stop small bits of shrapnel if you're close to an explosion. Inside the flak jackets, we had ballistic plates. All of this gear has on top of it a harness with our ammunition, plus we're carrying our weapons, plus we're carrying our radios. All in all, we're running with about 60 to 70 pounds of gear on us as we race our way down the side of the berm, and we are running. We're trying to keep up with the vehicle, we're trying to get there before he has a chance to escape. So we're tired, and our ability to see what's going on in the situation around us is getting narrower and narrower as we get more and more exhausted. So as we're running forward, sure enough, out pops two people running over the top of the hill. Now, we couldn't see them real well, but sure enough, as they came around, we took aim, we brought our rifles down, and we were looking straight at them. And as they ran, right before we took the shot, something just didn't seem right. There was something about the situation that called our attention to it. And so when we saw that, we realized like the forms were too small. So we said, cease fire, and we didn't shoot. And sure enough, a second later, our Humvee pops up from behind. And these two people that had come over the top of the berm was a 6-year-old boy and his 9-year-old brother. These two kids had been sitting here in the tree line somewhere watching all the Marines as we staged up in this field. Their house was located over to the side on the east a little bit somewhere. These two kids were running back because they saw all the vehicles scurrying around and they figured they probably better get out of there. It was time to move on. We have no idea if they had any inclination of who was shooting the mortars or if they had anything to do with it, but they were children. Because we were in such a rush, because we were so exhausted, because we were running, we almost shot on these two kids as they came around that hill. Now we didn't, and I'm glad we didn't. In the end, we took them back to their house, turned them back into their parents, and we continued the search, and we never did find the actual gunner. We did find ammunition and other bits of things sprinkled around, but we never find the person who fired that particular shot. And that's okay, because in the end, it was about getting and giving information. The information we got was that we could not afford to make rash, hasty decisions because we were moving too fast to be in control of us and our situation. And so from there we made a rule, no running. And from that point forward, every time we would be in a firefight or engaged in some sort of problem with myself or the platoon sergeant, our joke was no running. Because if you're running, you're missing the details. And the details are very, very important. That concludes our third part in our Transition to Leadership series, Do, Be, and Give, where we've talked about giving information, pushing it up and down the chain, and making sure everybody is on the same page. Following these 3 simple steps help you in your transition to leadership and taking on new goals.